So, hello everyone, Modern by review of My Academia episode 60 to the 4, so 79 altogether. So yeah, how do I reach these kids, right? How do I reach these kids? Good, funny episode. Kind of clearly getting into the more My Academia, right? The more comedic last bit of the season. Where we see the different, heroes trying to befriend these children. And man, I felt sorry for the sensei who was crying. Every day I'm seeing with the sensei, she is freaking crying. She's like, oh, the children are the worst. It's like, it's just, it's probably hard, right? It's an interesting aspect of this anime world that really hasn't been shown that much. Like, it's probably, like a hard life, but everyone has a power, right? She's talking about, everyone has different powers. And I think one thing that really makes this world, as a Stevie Deku's child, right, the backstory, the basic premise, is that it's very unfair. I think the unfair word here is interesting because, how would I say it, right? It's like, clearly people are different in this world, right? And clearly it is not a fair world, because you're a 10-year-old, and this 10-year-old, he can fly and shoot fireballs, and he can do shit, right? And you can do I can throw a rock or something, like a small, tiny rock, or so a lot of the quirks are very, very different, right? It's a very, clearly, it's a very RNG universe, right? As for Deku, they didn't have any powers, and then they have, for example, like in the Kirishima backstory, his powers is pretty bad as a kid, right? And it's still decently bad when he's grown. And he's just hardened. Yeah, it's some effect of it, right? But it's clearly better to have ice and fire powers or whatever. But so there already, right? The children are clearly gonna be quite volatile, you would imagine, right? Because there'll be more fights, the bullying definitely is going to be pretty severe, like for Deku, and obviously it's going to happen to a lot of kids, because it's like, oh, you can only do this thing, and I can fly, so on, yeah. There's clearly going to be a lot of difference from that, right? And at least from an interspecies furry aspect of it, no, but from a best girl kind of perspective, I think it's pretty clear that, for example, if you look at Ashido-chan, she's super hot, pink alien girl. Her looks are amazing. If it was reality, it clearly would also affect, the interest of who's the hottest girl and so on. Because, maybe I'm too much into monster girls, but clearly it's gonna be that a lot of females, depending on their power, the quirks, they're gonna look sexier, right? Because it's like, oh, I have this quirk. It makes me have this perfect blue skin, and people are like, wow, that's hot. So clearly, different is cool, yeah. Or some girls are gonna be severely bullied because they look super ugly, because they have this power and makes them look like, oh my god, disgusting, yeah. So it's that from a kind of appearance standpoint, that definitely is gonna be there too. Even though in this world it's kind of like everyone's used to everything, so I don't think people necessarily bully someone because, oh, you are this kind of health animal. That's lame, because that's ugly. More like that, right? More than people hate news for having quirks, because everyone has quirks, right? But obviously, if it was reality, people would still be like this blue skin woman, wow, that's hot. This weirdly, which is kind of not attractive, yeah. So I think that obviously that's gonna have a large part of it too, right? And so it should definitely be a lot of conflicts, right? Especially when they're kids and so on. And as Hansei explained, they have different growths, right? Some have the quirks earlier, some have it later, some develop faster when they get the quirk, right? So it's going to be a lot of unevenness. Basically, it's a very unfair world, yeah. So it's hard to reach kids from that alone, right? But otherwise, the episode, it was it's a funny episode. You see the different aspects. I really love everything's Camie scene, yeah. Not Toga best girl anymore, but Camie scenes are funny too. And she's like, I like young boys. And she's trying to be like, oh, come here, young boy. Using her oppai tactic there. And immediately we see all the girls just like, hey, you, screw you, whore. And they hate her. And then later on she's like, oh, the Rocky's hot. And they hate him even because she likes him. And all of her scene was great. She's like, oh, I'm Yankees. And for that matter, typical Yankee, right? Delinquent, typical, used to have blonde hair and so on in anime. You see the girl sitting with the bread, the legs spread quite wide, right? That's typical Yankee sitting, right? So that's why she's even called them Yankees there. because after she nipped her in the butt, right, the three of them did that kind of like that Yankee like they did the kind of the Yankee sit down technique, yeah. And she was like, Yankees, yeah. So that was kind of like that reference there. I did think the subs really captured that. They just call it delinquents, but they really had like the Yankee positioning, so to speak. Like if you've seen Saki in Zombieland Sega, or like U like Fruit Basket and so on, yeah. In her backstory, for example, you see them sitting exactly like that, right? Or if you play like Dragon Quest 11, when you get to the school, spoilers, you get to the Dragon Quest 11, it's Academia in that game, and they have like a group of 3 girls there too that's outside in the forest, and they're all sitting like that. Yeah, they're all sitting in that typical legs things in like a circle, and like, yeah, we're Yankees. So that's that Yankee, Yankee position in Japan. Yeah, legs apart, spread, doing that thing, having your clothes kind of like falling over your arm. That's a Yankee, right? So that's a Yankee sitting style. So, but she even said that in the anime, yeah. But they translated it. And that's, when you see just that, I don't like that. One thing that I think that fans translations does a lot better, if you look at it like over the years, especially I think in the past. I was a kid before I knew any Japanese, and I was like 10 or so on, right? Like 20 years ago, yeah, I was a small kid, watched a lot of animes. All those animes, right? They were fan translated, right? As a kid, I started watching like Tenshin Moyo and so on. That's like my first anime, Tenshin Moyo and so on. So they were dubbed then, right? They were dubbed, right? But afterwards, then it was the anime, with fan translation, and they would usually write a lot of text, and I missed it. Yeah, I think if you're gonna watch a sub version, usually I watch anime without text whatsoever, right? But if you watch translation text, I think I much rather prefer that wall of text explanation. Yeah, I really missed that in this episode, and that could be because they have like in their defense, they have to like sub this a lot faster to get just before the air. They have less time to sub it, I suppose, but still though, they should really spend more time explaining that stuff. I really feel, because she says the Yankee word, and they have the Yankee positioning, so it's a cultural reference to that, right? And I think the joke is funny, but when she says the word, they use kind of like delinquents and just go on, right? But if like in as a kid, then the fan translations, they usually have like, they have the translation, and there's like a text up here, right? There could be a freaking, like a 50-word text up and over the screen that's explaining like Yankee, and then they explain this cultural thing. Oh, they have the Yankee positioning, blah 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 blah, reference this thing. Yeah, they would explain this stuff a lot, right? Yeah, they would really go into detail and explain the words and what they actually mean, or why she says that. Oh, they're sitting in Yankee, so that's why they call them Yankees and so on. Yeah, they would really explain that because there are other words for delinquents. So it's a difference. Contextually, it makes more sense. There's like a joke there, but that joke, in my opinion, it's somewhat lost, definitely, in the translation to it. Yeah, it's not the same thing, really. Yeah, but it's a very, very clear in the Japanese words for it. So it's really different, right? So I kind of prefer if you. I think absolutely should do more of that. Like the fan translations back in the days, they would have so much text. They would be like, oh, this thing here, and this thing is onigiri, and they would explain like, oh, here's like one piece, and they would be like, oh yeah, Soros swords called onigiri, and they would really explain, oh, it's a rice, and they would really explain all of these details, like, yeah, so much that the references and so on, and they would even like refer to other shows. Oh, she said this thing because they really explain some of the parody jokes and so on, to some extent, like, yeah. So it'd be like, yeah, it makes more sense if you're like a new watcher and so on. Especially when it comes to this cultural references, right? Like culturally more, like the Japanese culture, not just like another anime, but like an actual cultural reference, which you might not get if you don't, either speak the language or you actually know the history of Japan or whatever, right? Yeah. So, but anyway, that's what she called them Yankees, because they were clearly they were clearly doing like a Yankee circle there. So it's like, okay, they're Yankees. So anyway, I like the Camie part the most. And otherwise, we did have, of course, the Endeavor part with All Might, which I think is a really good storyboard there, because All Might now is, obviously, he's known as his weekend and so on, right? Endeavor has been getting to rank 1, and of course Endeavor has some pain generally over that, because he never actually managed to beat All Might. All Might just lost the rank, right? Because he's retired, so obviously he got number 1 by, default, right? Instead of actually beating All Might. So of course he's frustrated that he never could beat All Might. That makes sense, because he never actually defeated him, right? He's got number 1 because of like, well, you're dead, okay, I'm number 1, yeah. Kinda, right? So, he's trying to understand, right, how do I become the symbol of peace? So I think it's an interesting plot line there, because obviously Endeavor is horrible. So he's not gonna, people hate him, and we really see, it's a good part too, because while he's having that conversation with All Might, we also see, Todoroki and so on, and see them like, oh, that guy's horrible, yeah, and like, oh yeah, and the children. So it's a lot of like, analog to him, raising him and the other characters and so on, yeah, and how everyone hates him, right? So it's like, I also want to be symbol of peace. I'm like, no, you can't. Everyone hates you, yeah. So it's like, you can't do it, bro. You failed, yeah. So that's good, but obviously his general problem, if you ignore the backstory and so on, the general problem with Endeavor is that he's just trying to be powerful, right? He's trying to be the strongest guy. He's trying to be like the mightiest, the most powerful guy, right? Just with muscles. So he's very, very into just being the strongest physically, hero, and not really from any kind of like motivational or inspiring. He's going to be the strongest, right? So I think this is good for like symbol of power. So that's what he can do, right? He can be a symbol of, if you are a criminal, I will come and yeah, like he's only in that sense. So he can make. So his problem is that he can inspire fear in the bad guys, but he doesn't really inspire, I don't know, happiness or whatever in anyone else, right? Yeah. So his power, his path is not really the best to be symbol of peace, right? This is more like a symbol of, I don't know, yeah, dominating power or something. You don't dare to do crime, and I'll come and yeah, there's more like that, right? So it's a long way to go, or it's impossible for him really to get to that step from his backstory. People always know that, right? And I'm not meaning the backstory of his family, but the general backstory. People know he has like a bad rep of just being like, oh yeah, we saw it in a flashback. They were like the TV people. They were like, Endeavor, I mean, he's strong, but yeah. So no one likes him, right? So even if he would change his opinion and personality from this moment and trying to be a good guy, a good guy, yeah, it wouldn't work, right? Because he has a history of doing bad interviews and so on. So he could never do this. I think All Might made a great point, just like try to find your own path, because you definitely can't take my path now. You can't change like 20 years later, like actually I want to take that path. Yeah, it doesn't really work. You have to find your own path, right? And I think his path can be something like, I'm just so powerful and no one dares to be a criminal. I think that's a lot more the path he could take instead. Yeah, effectiveness and more than that, right? But still trying a little bit, I guess, going towards All Might's ideal could work for him. I mean, to some extent, right? But he has to be something else than the simple All Might had, right? And obviously, in the story generally, Deku will one day become the next Sylvia. Yeah, so yeah, I think it makes sense too that it's like no one is gonna be able to do it until Deku does it, right? Yeah, I think that's like a little more symbolic. See what I did there? But yeah. So I think it's a good episode. I mean, it's a fun episode generally, and generally this arc is just gonna be comedic, right? And next episode they will beat up the children, I guess. Yeah, it's a little bit like, yeah, let's fight. It's his sensei crying like, oh, they're so horrible. It's like, man, it's not easy being a teacher in that world. It's like, oh, you're the worst ever. At the same time, though, Bakugo did make a good point, though. Like, she clearly surrendered being the leader of that class probably way earlier, right? And the children just took over, and we have to probably be a bit more stern, right? She's very like, I don't want to. Yeah, so she's probably, she's probably to blame to some degree as well, right? She just makes them run wild and so on. But also, obviously, I mean, they're much more friendlier in that sense. But man, this world would be issued, right? If you're like a teacher, you have like a really, crazy child, right? It actually is crazy, and they can like kill you because they're stronger than you. They might have a quirk that can like, kill you at class. It's definitely some issues there. They haven't really talking about it at all in this anime, but from a premise-wise, it will absolutely be some, mentally insane kids, right? That will be in the class and so on. They could definitely easily kill their classmates or teacher, right? If they actually, yeah. So, but I mean, that's never really talked about in anime. So I would just assume that if they have to do some kind of mental test on the children and psychology and so on, and then I guess put them in something else, set like a normal class, if they have like, oh, this guy is like clear sociopath, he can murder anyone. Yeah, like, they're probably like, you can't be here in class. I assume so. It's never talked about, but that actually would make some sense for some of the bad guys, right? That they were born, with some mental issues, right? And they were like, oh, we can't have them in normal school, so we put them over here instead. Yeah, but it's never really touched upon, but that's probably what actually would happen in reality. But here's it's more like everyone gets a chance, like we see talk at school and so on. But in reality, you probably would have to be like, oh shit, this kid is cray. Because I mean, in reality, in our reality, there's a few percentage people, right, that has some real issues from being born, right? Yeah, obviously. And that obviously exists in the other world too, and that would be quite dangerous. So yeah, never really touched upon this anime, but it probably would be, a lot of. It probably actually would be, yeah. And when I think about it right now, it actually probably would be a lot of issues like in school as well. It probably would be children that would get killed and so on. Like seriously, yeah, because just picturing it. I mean, I've seen so much bullying in my life, and not just to me, but generally. And just picturing it, right? Someone's bullying someone, and that kid, either the bully takes it too far, or the bullied kid snaps, and it's like, oh yeah, I can have this power, bam, and they kill them. That would happen a lot, probably. That literally would probably happen a lot in this world if it actually existed. So it probably would actually be a lot of, deaths and so on. And I don't say a lot, like, every day, but I mean, in general, it probably would be a few deaths a year from these kind of children, right? Because, it would be a lot of issues that people... will have these quirks and so on. And that's also one thing that is a little silly in this, I should say silly, but in the general academia. I mean, it has to be there to make the story kind of work, but it's a little strange actually that they have so much crime. And so now it's like, it's so much crime, no matter what we do as heroes. It's like, how can it be that actually? In a sense, it doesn't make too much sense, right? Because yes, most people don't use their powers and so on. But actually, one of my favorite comics, special comics, House of M. It's a 2004 Marvel crossover comics where Magneto controls the whole planet. Everyone's a mutant. So it's basically the same premise. Everyone has powers. Everyone's a mutant. Basically, it's like maybe a few percentage like Deku. So everyone has a power, right? And in that universe, the House of M universe, which is like reshaped Earth from Scarlet Witch, and then leads to House of the mutant, no more mutants, and so on. Yeah, so big storyline of Marvel. After that event, she removed all the mutants, so that's like a big thing for Marvel. Leads into basically everything. Like it leads into the rest of the wars and the schism between Iron Man and Captain America and so on. So the Civil War thing and so on is for that reason. So in the comics, yeah. So anyway, in that comics. Not talking too much about the general storyline, but the premise, there is like almost no crime whatsoever. They explain that it's like no crime because, and then you have like a scene in the second comic of it where someone is like attacking a bank with like he's like a firepower, and someone's like ice, and it's like oh yeah, because it's like it's kind of like Titus, Christopher Titus, the old comedian, American comedian. His old show Titus had this episode where he's like explaining why everyone should have a gun on them. Everyone should always have a gun, because if someone tries to like rob a bank, everyone will be like bam, and he will die. That's his motivation as a comedian there. But in some sense it's like maybe that would work. Everyone's like bam, yeah, like maybe it would be kind of hard to some extent to do some crime. Someone tells you, you shoot them, yeah. But also they will also have a gun. Everyone have a gun basically, so they can also threaten you with a gun. So it's like a little bit, but that's kind of how House of M is working. House of M has almost no crime whatsoever, as they explain, because as soon as someone tries to commit like a robbery or a bang, so on, it's not like a normal Spider-Man and he might appear and save them, right? But everyone's a power, so you walk in there with your powers, with your firepower or ice whatever, and there's like 50 people there, and some of them definitely counter your power, and someone's like anti-gravity, and you're like, oh shit, and yeah, so it's very, very hard to actually do any kind of normal criminal activity, because everyone's ready to like bam to own you with their powers, right? So it's that is actually how My Academia should look, right? Yeah, like it should be incredibly hard using any kind of crime normally, right? Don't like having some kind of evil league or try to conquer the world. That will still happen. People like we control it. That will still happen, right? Bad guys, but in the sense that like these petty crimes, like someone trying to mug you or something, that would have a low, very low frequency in this kind of world, right? Because everyone would be like, drop it, bam, I can do this to you. I can grow inside. And also, think that in My Academia, right? Some people, like the small guy from the Yakuza, I can't remember his name now, but he had the power to grow, massive, right? So if you're gonna rob someone on the street in My Academia, you like see some small kids like that kid, I can rob that guy, and he's like, oh yeah, kid, yeah, and he's like, I can grow to mountain lady size, and he beats you up, yeah. So it's like you can't also determine how big someone is and so on to know if they're small and weak, right? Because they might have like a size power, or they might have some physical power, right? So you don't really actually really know. So it also be really random. You couldn't really like determine from someone's appearance if they're strong or weak, right? Or if they can fight and so on, because they can, yeah. So it is a little strange, because Endower is talking about like crime, like normal like bank robbery and and so on. He's talking about like superheroes or bad, super bad guys. He's talking about general crime, like a mugging and so on. And that feels like that shouldn't happen in this world, because it's like anyone can fight you. But whatever, I think that's also the problem with this kind of premise, right? In the same House of M. In House of M, they explained it. Okay, no one is doing it, but they're still showing someone doing it and failing. And it's like, I mean, why are they doing it then? If you said no one's doing it, it's a little like a plot convenience thing. It's like it has to be right. They show someone doing it and failing to explain that it's not happening, but it's still is happening then because you showed it happening. So you know what I mean. So it's like a little bit like, I mean, you make a point, I suppose, but the point is also kind of like yeah. It's like, but the point shouldn't happen then. But that's the problem of show and tell, right? They both explain something and showing it, and explaining that it's not happening. So how can you show it? Like it's a little bit like that. But they really want to make a point there, like this doesn't happen anymore, because it's horrible hard to do like a bank robbery if every person in there can defeat you, perhaps, right? And also the cops outside, they come later, also have power and so on. People outside have powers, and so it's a little bit hard, right? Which is something I said, I think seasons 2 of My Academia, they released all the Neros in the city. While no people wouldn't fight them, I think that makes sense. No people wouldn't try to defeat them because they're really strong and so on. I wish they had a little more details. People are just running away from them, like oh monster, and everyone's running away, right? But no one is like monster, fireball. I think that would have made it look a lot better in the anime if people were escaping them. Same general storyline. Nothing actually would change in the storyline. But everyone in the episode, I think it's episode like 30 something, yeah. But anyway, something like that. Everyone's just running from it. Yeah, there's no actually one season, so episode like 25 or whatever. But everyone's just running from them, right? They're just running, yeah. And no one is like running and doing like an ice attack or running, or no one is flying either. That's a mistake, I think. No one is flying, yeah. Every single time in the episode, just literally running away from them. But no one is running faster and no one is flying away. Clearly, if you attack at the middle of Tokyo with a lot of monsters, and everyone that in Tokyo have a power, someone can fly, and yet everyone in that scene is just running, like I was like, shit, no one's like, wings out and like flying away, or grabbing someone and flying away. I think that would have looked a lot better. So I think there is a little detail issue there in My Academia. They could have made that look a lot better, actually. Now, I said that last year, there was like, that should have been more detailed. So I think there's a little bit issue there in My Academia, right? They have a little bit. It's not really the kind of lacing out on that everyone should have power, yeah, in every scene they have, actually. So, but that also been an issue, I think. Not a big issue, but it's a nitpicky issue. But I think that it will make the world look even more vibrant, right? Because in that scene, if it was in reality, everyone had a power, a monster appears, like Godzilla appears in Tokyo, everyone has a power, someone would try to fight it, someone would run away, someone would fly away, someone would speed away, someone would like, maybe I could carry a lot of people, someone would size up and carry people more. Like, that should happen more, right? People would have the powers to actually, even if you're not legally allowed to fight it, because it's the hero thing, but I mean, you can at least fly away. You're legally allowed to fly if you have a flying power. You just escape from the monster flying. Like, no one would be like, oh, that guy broke the law. He fly away from dying. Yeah, let's sue him. That wouldn't happen, right? So just use, and even if it would happen, it might be sued or whatever for using power to escape something like flying. Would you still rather do it than not dying? It's like, either I die or I fly away. I pick flying away, yeah, and then whatever, if it's illegal not to fly because I don't have my hero license. Yeah, come on, like I must just fly away, right? So there's a little bit issue with that in My Academia. But anyway, see you guys with Intimate Reviewer. That's out today, of course. Best average season, and I just read this one later here. I just read that it's been removed from Funimation. So Intimate Reviewer about later, right? But this anime has been revoked from Funimation because they were like, actually, this anime might be a little too much weird for us, so let's not talk about that anymore. Yeah, so they removed it today, I think, or yesterday. So there won't be any dub anymore. I haven't seen the dub anyway, but yeah, they're gonna stop dubbing it. It's like, wait a minute, did someone report them? They were like, are we dubbing hen stuff here? I mean, I'm guessing, right? I think it's hilarious. Talk about more later tonight when the episode airs. Of course, we're still gonna watch it, but I'm just gonna laugh at it. Talk about it more extra Funimation stuff. Yeah, I see. Have a great day.